point was finding this. This is one of the best examples of using video and using animation creatively. I wouldn't recommend this for everybody, but you can see that you can do some things with animation in a slide presentation that's almost like using video that you can't do in other ways. You know, decide that this is not so easy, and then she has some other ways to get there. So this was good. So the animation can definitely work. All right, making the presentation. Everybody's got a different style here. I mean, every one of you here have had to make presentations at different times. You've just got to adjust to your own style. One of the things we all have is tics. I don't know what mine are, but I'm sure I've got ums or ahs. I had a guy who really didn't realize he was doing it, but he actually said the phrase, "I go." Like I was telling somebody something, and he literally would say, "Well, I go. This is not a good way to do this slide. I go." And I literally had to sit down, and we went through a practice session, and I did a little tick mark every time he said it. And I said, "Jack, you did 32 I goes, and this is not going to work because it's hurting you." And somebody had to tell him, and it was me, but when he did his presentation, he did 2. And it was because he was very conscious of it. He never even realized it. So you want to take as much of those as you can out. Different kinds of styles. I mean, some of us are quiet. I mean, a lot of engineers, you know, the old joke of you can tell an engineer is outgoing if he looks at your shoes while he's talking to you. And as an engineer, we can always do those self-deprecating ones. If you're a quiet talker, what you want to do is you want to amp it up. Not uncomfortably, but a little bit, not unnaturally, but you want to be uncomfortable. And because in your comfort zone, you're not loud enough. You know, you just got to amp it up. So it has to feel uncomfortable, which is not weird and unnatural. One of the best things to do, and I'm doing this tonight because there's no mic in here, I'm projecting my voice to try to speak to the back of the room. And that's what you'll find, just like anybody who sings. If you're not always on key, and I would be one of those people, singing louder often makes you more on key because you're working harder at it. It's just, I don't know why it does, but it does. So that's what you want to do. Now, if you're the other half, the fast talker. Anybody know any of those? You know, my trade-off is the good news, I have a lot of energy. You know, so that I have going for me. The bad news is I go too fast, and I know that I do. But there's a few things you can do to kind of help yourself out if you're there. You just have to be aware that what feels really slow for you is going to be pretty normal for the audience. You can also place, and I do this, you probably haven't noticed it, but I've been doing it. You can place pauses in select places. Any of you guys remember a guy named Paul Harvey? All the older people. Paul Harvey was a guy, Jim, you know Paul Harvey, that's impressive. The rest of the story. And so Paul Harvey was a TV and radio commentator, and he had this habit of putting pauses in very unusual places in the story. And I just did it, and it worked, and it's the most odd pacing, but it was his signature, and it works. Because people are going, well, what's going on? It gets them back in. So that's one of the things you can do is just put pauses in there. And if you enunciate more, which I've worked on a lot, and because I know that I'm too fast. I had to do some presentations in Japan, and watching the marketing people say, you got to slow down, because they're translating in their heads. If you enunciate more, it'll make you slow down.